When folks talk of quality of life issues, coming to Polk County and living here, you know, we have many, many things to offer, whether it be our rails to trails, our hiking, our biking, things just getting you out of the house and able to get out in the community. And when it comes to arts, we've got a program coming up that you're definitely gonna want to check out. That it improves the quality of life here in Polk County. It's the Voices of the People, and joining us in studio, talk a little bit more about Voices of the People, is Derek Mention. He is a cellist, and he's also Voices of the People founder. How you doing, Derek?
Fine, how are you?
I'm doing great. First time ever in here, right?
First time.
So what do you think?
I like it.
Yeah, you like the set?
Yeah,
kind of
man.
bright, kind of bright.
That's all right. I can
Yeah,
deal with that.
yeah.
Brightness is good.
Yeah, yeah. It is. Let's talk a little bit about Voices of the People.
Sure.
What exactly is it?
Well, Voices of the People is a performing arts series. It's season. It features chamber music, music that's more intimate and smaller in scale and scope than your orchestral literature, your Strauss and your Mahler and your Brahms symphonies, for example. These are more intimate pieces made for the chamber setting, smaller rooms and smaller gatherings. And so this is a series that's been around for 2 years now, and we offer from 4 to 6 concerts per academic year, highlighting different composers and also different philosophers. We kind of intersperse readings from philosophy with great works of the chamber music literature. And so it's an addition to Polk County. It's a full chamber music festival, or excuse me, series that we hope will become a festival.
How does an idea like this come about? Where does it start? And you guys, a bunch of guys going, you know, it'd be a great idea is if we. How did this one start?
Musicians love to play. We love to travel. We love to experience working with other people. And so all one has to do is say, I've got an idea. How about if we put something together where we can perform? And if one is fortunate enough to get funding, that can happen. I'm fortunate. Polk State, who is sponsoring this, Polk State's Student Activities and Leadership and Organization Office, in conjunction with the Philosophy Club, has offered this series. And after traveling and doing a lot of concerts with different people and attending other concerts, I said, man, one thing that Polk State could use is a chamber music series. We have a band and we have choir, we have a vocal jazz ensemble. Every now and then there's some strings that get involved at Polk State, but what we have not had is a chamber music series, something dedicated to these wonderful gems of music for the smaller, intimate scope. And I had done solo recitals at Polk State for about 6 or 7 years, and I invited a buddy of mine down, a cellist from the Toledo Symphony, and he collaborated with me in one concert, and then someone from the school said, hey Derek, you know, do you think you could put together, you know, a chamber music series? If so, I might be able to find you some funding. I'm like, are you kidding? Yeah, I definitely can. And the rest is history. I did, and now it's 2 years old. We started in November of 2012, and we're still moving and shaking, and we're looking forward to our 3rd season, which starts up in September.
Well, we've talked a little bit about how it came about and a little bit about, elaborate a little bit more about it. Let's talk about the musicians. Let's talk about the background of those.
Right. So, as you said, I'm a professor at Polk State, but my first calling, my first love, is as a cellist and a composer and an arranger. And I've done some concertizing here and there. I've traveled a little bit, and I've met lots and lots of really superlative musicians. And these musicians know of other musicians. We all look up to some individuals. And the idea just came up that I would put together this sort of consortium where we could all come together and bounce off one another and come together and serve music through this music, or serve music through these performances. And the musicians span in their locales from New York to Houston to California, San Diego. They're all professionals doing their thing. They're symphonic musicians, they're soloists, they're arrangers. We all operate in different genres. Several of us are what you might call crossover artists, where I actually am also a bass player, and I do bebop, and have done some funk in my past. So if you put us all together, there's just this wide panorama of things that we offer. But one of the most exciting things I think about Voices of the People is we bring some of the hottest young talent to be found anywhere in the classical music realm to Polk County. As I say, they're working all over the place in symphonies, and they regularly travel to Europe. And we see each other in different settings all over the world. One group of them I see in Detroit. Some of us are also going to be out in California this summer. Another bevy I see in New York. And it creates this sort of familial core, which is why it's called Voices of the People. It's about making bridges and connections between not only musicians, but between the musicians and the audiences. So we have a lot of really world-class talent of younger musicians on a lot of your string instruments, wind instruments, and piano as well.
And when we're talking musicians, how many total?
Our roster is like 15 maybe, of people that kind of regularly come in and out. We also incorporate individuals from University of South Florida in Tampa. Scott Clickstall, a wonderful cellist there, Dee Moses. Both of these individuals I've known for a long period of time. There's Sarah Shellman that we use from the Florida Orchestra, and I could give you a whole list, but there's a bunch of musicians who are just joys to work with, really at the top of their field.
Now, roughly 15 musicians. Do you play all at once? And you said intimate settings. So how big is the venue that you're playing?
Right, right. Well, when I speak about intimate settings, chamber music was originally called that because it was played in rooms about this size, called chambers. And so it's retained that name even some a few hundred years hence, even though we can play in all size arenas. Chamber music can happen and does happen at Alice Tilly Hall, it happens at Carnegie Hall, and it can happen in the living rooms of people's homes, as it often did 200 years ago. So out of 15 people, we break that down. There may be a piano trio, which means piano, cello, and violin. There may be a string quintet, as we featured recently. We did the Schubert C major, called the two cello quintet, and that's 5 people, all string players in that case. Or you have string quartets, one of the more popular chamber groups. So we don't all 15 play at one time. That would more be a small chamber orchestra, which we will be looking at doing in the future. But out of this roster of, say, 15 or so people, which is growing because we don't always use the very same people, but there's 15 I know I can call upon, and if one can't do it, this other one can.
Yeah.
There's 15 that we have. That
you ever notice that about musicians? Always somebody willing to fill in.
Always somebody. Yeah, and I'm a jazzer too, so there's always somebody willing to fill in. But that's how we do it, right? I mean, that's what we mean by chamber. Yeah. So the venues we play, we regularly go to the theater, the fine arts department in Winter Haven, on the Winter Haven campus of Polk State. We've played at the lovely Polk Theater here in Lakeland. We're looking at maybe going to the Ritz Theater in Winter Haven.
The Ritz is a great venue.
It's beautiful.
It's been redone, and it's just, they've done incredible work in there.
Yeah, it looks great on the outside. I have not been on the inside, but I've heard nothing but wonderful things. And we get a little innovative as well. I mean, we'll be going to some spots that are off the beaten path, and by that I don't mean they're too avant-garde, but they're not necessarily settings for concerts until we make it thus. And one of them is just the dining area on the Lakeland campus of Polk State. We had an open rehearsal there for our Schubert quintet. We're going to go back and do some more stuff next semester or next season, and so music can happen wherever there are musicians.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's what we're kind of investigating doing as well.
And the cool thing about it is the Voices of People Performing Arts Series inaugural summer concert. Let's talk about that, because we've got the who, what, when, where, how, why. Let's talk about the event. That's going to be cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So one of the joys of being a musician, again, is being able to work with so many different personalities. And one of the warmest hearted people I've ever worked with is a violist we're going to feature this summer. That's Carl St. Jacques. And he's, performed and recorded in about 20 different countries. He's worked with a lot of your big conductors, Kurt Mazur, the late Mstislav Rostropovich. He's worked at the Verbier Festival. And he's going to be doing a solo viola recital. And you don't hear a great many viola recitals. It's a wonderful instrument. It's great. Violin is popular, cello is popular, piano is popular. Viola is a great instrument. We all need them. You just don't hear of as many viola recitals. And of the recitals you hear, you don't hear that many true solo recitals. This will be with no accompaniment. It's just Carl. And Carl, aside from being a wonderful musician, will be a great communicator of his instrument because he has such a big, warm personality. He's always full of smiles. He's very affable. There'll be some slight interactive bits in his offering, in that he'll be talking about the pieces a little bit. And I could think of no better way to extend our season into the summer than through Carl St. Jacques, who's just wonderful. I mean, I don't have enough superlative words to say about this guy. I just can't wait to see the guy. Every time he comes for a Voice of the People concert, I just can't wait till he arrives, because he's just, like I say, always full of smiles, never acts like he's being worked. He lives to rehearse, he lives to perform. He's just a joy to watch do his thing.
And the venue's set for Saturday, June 28th, 7 p.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lakeland.
So that's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that, the Unitarian vibe has gone back as far as Ralph Waldo Emerson and that Unitarian sort of open-hearted atmosphere when it comes to affairs of the spirit. And so I think this is a good marriage of venue and personality, and that Carl St. Jacques will be able to perform right here in Lakeland at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation. So that's going to be a wonderful thing, and it's free to the public, and
that's the best thing about that.
Yeah, right. That can't hurt,
Yeah.
because one of the things we like to do at Voices of the People is create the next audiences for classical music, and so part of our job is to please the audience through our offerings, and part of it is to educate and to enlighten. So every now and then we're going to have to play some cutting edge, kind of scratch your head sorts of music, which is coming. And Carl's offering, his program sort of stands in the middle. He's playing some 20th century neoclassicist musicians, Kodai and Max Reger and Hindemith, I believe, and that's going to be tonal, but yet pushing the envelope a little bit. And that's a great way to show our audiences where we're headed in the future.
Thanks for coming on and joining us today, Derek. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. And we want to make sure you check it out at home. This is going to be probably a concert event for the summer. Make sure you check out the Voices of the People for Performing Arts Series inaugural summer concert. It all happens Saturday, June 28th, 7 p.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lakeland. They're located at 3140 Troy Avenue. That is in Lakeland. Keep in mind the cost is absolutely free. Show up that night. Now, if you need more information, give them a call, 863-651-2849. You don't want to miss the Voices of the People Performing Arts Series inaugural summer concert. Make sure you're there.